Sorry. Uh, Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is happy and healthy in their homes. On behalf of GDSC, I, Shubh Sharma, welcomes you all to the introduction session of Google Solution Challenge. We have our collaborators Sri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Medicaps University, Shahid Rajguru College of Applied Sciences for Women, Kalindi University, Lakshmi Narayan College of Technology, Acropolis Institute of Technology and Research. Innovation is very important for overall development of society. As an engineer, with help of our technical knowledge, we can create any solution for the real world problems. We are fortunate to have Priyanka Hodchandani, Anish Pawar, and Gayatri Patel as a speaker for today's session. I would like to welcome all of you for this event. Priyanka, it's all over to you. You can just start.
Should I just turn on our cameras? Yeah. Can you hear us properly?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, you are audible.
So first of all, thanks a lot for inviting us. We are humbled. So we are third year students from KJ Somaiya College of Engineering, and we are here to give you guys a brief overview of the Google DSC Solution Challenge 22 and share our experiences from the Challenge 21. So let's first start off by discussing about the this year's challenge. Priyanka?
Yeah. So the Google DSC Solution Challenge, it's an online contest presented by Google every year that invites students to develop solutions for community problems using one or more Google products or platforms. The overall mission here is to solve for one of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals using the Google technology. Now, the competition, it aims at enabling hands-on learning, and it also inspires student developers to come together as a global community to learn and to build technical solutions for real-world problems. So the solution challenge, it usually runs from January to March of each year. And for this year, the registrations are already open. There are certain criteria. First is being a part of an active developer student club is a must. Without that, you cannot register. So if you haven't already, please go and join your college developer student club by registering on Google's website, gdsc.community.dev. We'll be putting this in the chat box as well. So once that is done, now coming to the team formation, teams are limited to a maximum of 4 members. Now you can work with teammates from your own DSC, or you can also have teammates from other DSCs as well. But while you're forming the teams, keep in mind that you pick members having a varied skill set so that a balance is maintained and you all are complementing each other's skills. So that way there'll be more exposure and you won't be constricted within specific technologies or frameworks. Once all of that is sorted, you will just have to fill in a registration form and you can start working.
So moving on to the evaluation, you will be required to submit a Google form that takes detailed information about your solution along with a demo video, which has a maximum time limit of 2 minutes. While making the demo video, keep in mind that you first highlight the problem that you're trying to solve and then showcase your solution. So the submission form will be open by 15th March and the deadline for the same would be 30th March. Once the judges review all the submissions against the evaluation criteria, which would be mentioned on the official website, the top 50 solution challenge teams will be announced towards the end of April. Now, throughout May, these top 50 teams would be undergoing mentorship from Google to better their solution and resubmit it. Top 10 finalists will then be announced towards the end of June. All 10 finalists will showcase their solutions during the Solution Challenge Demo Day, which would be held live on YouTube, towards the end of which 3 winning teams would be announced. So this was all about the process.
Now moving on to our challenge, our solution from the last year. So we created a system called as Eye of God, which is aimed at helping blind and visually impaired people. So this system consists of 2 major components. First is the VR headset for mounting the user's smartphone. And the second one is this custom-made hardware belt, which consists of 4 vibration motors and an ESP32 as its microcontroller. So the user can interface with the system with the help of a button. So when he presses that button, the system will give him 2 options, like whether to start indoor or outdoor navigation mode. So in outdoor navigation mode, the user has to speak out a destination. For example, take me to Thane. So then the system will give the user audio feedback for turn-by-turn navigation, as well as obstacle avoidance via the vibration motors of the belt. So for example, there is a dangerous obstacle like a car in front of the user. So the system will say car, and the motor in that direction will start vibrating with a higher intensity. Now moving on to the indoor navigation. So in indoor navigation, the system will take the user to a labeled destination like a hospital's general ward or a shopping market. So for example, the user says, take me to the ICU. I mean, he probably won't say that, but yeah. So the OCR tech will scan for the word ICU in the field of the camera, field of view, and the belt will create some patterns of vibrations to safely guide him towards his path. So this was about the system. Now I'll share my screen and show you guys the video. Is the screen visible, Shubh?
Yes, yes, it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just full screen it.
In India. Welcome, team.
I go with someone else. I generally don't go on my own to new places.
Eye of God is an easy-to-use navigation system built for visually impaired people to help them navigate to the destination safely.
Hey Siri, open Eye of God.
Welcome to Eye of God. Please choose a navigation mode.
Start outdoor navigation. Take me to Santa Cruz.
As the car approaches, the system alerts the user via voice feedback along with vibrations on the side of the belt.
The belt comprises of 4 vibration motors, and the motor corresponding to the region where the obstacle lies vibrates according to the distance from the user given by the depth map.
Head north towards Central Library Road.
Motorcycle. Car.
All systems run completely on device, which eliminates the need of internet or cloud-based systems for processing and reduces latency dramatically.
Turn left onto Central Library Road.
On a turn, the system provides voice as well as pulsating haptic feedback through the leftmost or the rightmost motor, depending upon the turn, to inform the user the correct direction to turn to. The obstacle avoidance system does not provide voice feedback for relatively less dangerous obstacles. The lack of voice feedback and increased intensity of the motors depicts the same.
Take me to Nike.
Taking you to your destination.
Indoor navigation offers text detection along with obstacle avoidance to guide the user to their labeled destination. If the label is detected in the frame, a pulsating vibration will be produced while a constant vibration will be produced on detection of other obstacles in the frame to avoid collision.
You have reached your destination.
This is great.
So this was our demo video. Now on to Gayatri. Gayatri.
Yeah. So you might be wondering how we started off. So basically, before beginning any project or anything for that matter, we need a clear understanding of what is expected of us or what kind of work should we deliver. So we actually started by reviewing previous year's solutions that were submitted. And from that, when we look at those solutions, we understand that what is the level of competition that is, or what kind of work or what kind of ideas are getting selected. And therefore, this helped us to clearly understand what is required. And then we moved on towards the ideation.
Everything begins with an idea. And you have to understand that no idea is small. All sorts of ideas, they all have the potential to make an impact and change things for the better. And no idea is too outlandish for you if you consider it with a steady eye and you do an adequate amount of research for it. Giving life to ideas is never an easy task. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But the process of cultivating an idea into a reality is in fact extremely difficult. You take the responsibility to give something that had not existed before an opportunity to become a reality, and that makes you accountable for it. And accountability, that requires believing in yourself enough to be 100% dedicated to getting the work done. You know, most people, they fail to do that because all of those unexpected challenges in the way, they become more than the thing they can handle. And they no longer want to be accountable for it. They lose the belief in themselves to see things through all the way towards the end. But you have to know that you just have to stick with it long enough and believe that what you are doing is going to impact a lot of lives. Your intentions for the idea, they must have a very clear purpose and a definite meaning. Because if not, then your probability to quit along the way will definitely increase.
So it was really difficult for us to pick a cause and objective for this project. We all deliberated and spent time. Our inclination towards the visually impaired or blind people grew when we were discussing about on one of my dad's old projects, which is called Drishti, which means vision. So they, what they did was they created a cheap prototype of reusable lenses, which is more affordable to the commoners, enabling a wider reach. And after we researched more on this topic of visually impaired people, we found out that a huge chunk of the global population is actually visually impaired, and no one really cares about their safety or how they are going to commute or their freedom as well. So then we started off by thinking, like, we actually started putting ourselves in their shoes. Like, how do they navigate? What do they think? So the first, imagine a scenario. Suppose you're stranded on the road, in the middle of the road rather. So how do you get safely to the other end, right? You have to think. For the first thing is you need a destination. And the second thing is you need to avoid all those obstacles in the path. So those were the two major objectives of this project, like obstacle avoidance and navigation. So that's how we started off. And now Priyanka will tell us about our experience.
Yeah, so like once we were done with the idea and we had a clear idea of what we wanted to do, the next big task for us was to figure out the tech stack, because we knew that our project, it required the use of many different technologies, which actually got us pretty conflicted on which to adopt. Now, okay, it's evident that since the challenge is proposed by Google, they obviously expect us to work with Android devices and platforms. But the tragedy was that out of all of our team members, most of us had Apple devices, and only one member had an Android smartphone, which too wasn't powerful enough to, support and provide the kind of computational power that we required. So that turned out to be a very challenging aspect for us. And initially we started off by trying our hands with a variety of technologies. We take up courses, we'd learn, we'd start working on it, and then eventually down the lane we'd realize that, oh, something isn't compatible with what we wanted to build. So then we'd have to go back and then relearn a new technology and then repeat the entire process.
So first we started off with Flutter, then moved to Android Dev, the native one, in Kotlin. Then we moved to Swift. Mind you, we didn't know anything about Swift or Kotlin. So we learned all those technologies. And then we went back again to Flutter. So we completed a complete circle of life, like kind of something like that. And so the first iteration of our app was developed on Flutter and ran on an Android device with a laptop as its backend. So during the testing, one guy actually had to carry the laptop with him on his bag and navigate with the system. So it was quite a hassle. But during the course of the challenge, India was still in lockdown. So it was really difficult for us to test as well, as we weren't able to get together and test it. So we tested it on ourselves, like two people came together who stayed close enough. And one person actually ensured the other safety, like one was wearing complete blindfolds while testing it. So that's how we tested it. And it was really difficult because we don't really have experience to walk without vision. Because the blind people, they rely on other senses like hearing also and the stick. So they have that feedback mechanism for them, but we don't. So that's how we tested it on ourselves, which is the worst case scenario during the lockdown. Yeah, Priyanka.
Yeah, so next we moved on to the second stage where we, as Anish mentioned, that we had a backend running on a laptop and then the other person had to carry the laptop. So it was actually not practical to use. So in the second stage, we substantially improved the algorithm of the app to run it entirely on device. And we also added some beta features and made it a bit more efficient. Next was making the demo video, which was also a new experience for us since we had to convey months of our hard work into just 2 minutes of time. So that was pretty difficult too, because mentioning all the features in that short time is a bit task. So moving on to the mentoring.
So after the first round, a list of global top 50 teams is usually announced by Google somewhere between late April to early May. And those teams, they are provided with a mentor. The mentor could be anyone from Google, not necessarily a developer or even someone with a technical background, or even a part of Google developers for that matter. But yeah, so we get a mentor, and then so generally we are provided a duration of about 6 weeks of mentoring from the day of shortlisting till the day of submitting our top 10 demo video for the top 10 finalists. So if you make it to that stage, you have to make sure that you take their help, you take your mentor's help in their respective domain of expertise, as that can really boost up your submissions quality. As engineers, we don't really think or pay a lot of attention to the market value of our products because we're always too busy focusing on the technical aspects of it. So getting a different perspective from a quality mentor, it really helps to get an overall view of the product and how it fits in the larger scheme of things.
So our mentor, Miss Grace Kwok-Danshu, I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong, who is a product manager at Google, suggested us to interview some of the potential users and get feedback on the product. But we tried our best to find the participants, but due to the lockdown, we weren't able to find anyone. We even tried to contact the NGOs as well. So we informed her about our situation, and she helped us connect with one of her own colleagues who is a developer at Google and who is actually visually impaired. So she set us a meet with him, and she actually let us talk with him, and we told him our solution, gave us some feedback about it, like will he wear this on a regular basis, what features need to be changed and all that. And then we made some changes. Our mentor also suggested some UI changes to the application as it will enhance overall look. And she also gave us some constructive feedback about guided us towards building a more organized structure for the demo video. After thoroughly going through each and every segment of the script of the demo video, she gave us point-to-point suggestions that clearly had a positive impact and actually elevated the level of quality in our solution. Now moving to guys.
Yeah, so summing up, I'd like to mention a few things that you should focus on. First thing is your idea and the impact that it has. Because if you check out the website for the solution challenge, you'd see that the evaluation criteria has about 60 points for the impact and 40 points for the technology. So impact really does matter, and your idea also should be conveyed properly. Like they should understand what is your motive or how impactful your idea is. Next is that, of course, you should use Google technology as much as possible. Try using Google Cloud or Flutter or whatever, any more technologies you'd like to inculcate in your project. Because since it's a Google competition, they would definitely give it a better chance. Moreover, if you use Google technology, try to highlight it in the submission so that you stand a better chance. Next is, don't just focus on software, like just building apps or something. Definitely that also has consideration. But if you try to combine it with IoT or a combo of hardware and software, like we had a hardware bit, some teams had some kind of glasses or something like that. So if you do that, you do have a better chance of getting selected. Next is making sure that your solution aligns with at least one sustainable development goal, because the motive of the challenge is to try and align the solutions to the goals and make solutions for problems with that goals. So making your solution aligned to goals is very important and does give you a better hand. Then your demo video should tell a story. Story like about the problem, how widespread it is, how your solution is efficient, and how it is adoptable, or how impactful your solution is, how efficient it is in solving the problem. So that plays a major role, because demo video is something visual. So visual things have a big effect. And seriously thinking, Google Forms have bigger questions, like the questions and the answers would be really big. So try to convey your solution efficiently, impactfully in your demo video. So those are the things that you should focus on. And lastly, don't be afraid of learning and trying out different things to finalize your solution. Just trust the process, be patient, and have fun with it. So that was it from our side, and now we're open to questions.
Okay, thank you, Anish, Gayatri, and Priyanka, for telling your experience. It was great hearing you all. And now we'll have a few questions from our participants. So the first question which I can say is, what all technologies in total did you guys use in making this solution?
So I don't have the exact count, but I can list it out. So the first one is Arduino. Flutter is one of the main technologies. Then it was Firebase, ML Vision, TensorFlow Lite. Priyanka, do you remember the rest? Yeah, OpenCV, C++, which ran natively on device. So those are the major technologies we used in it.
Okay. So our second question is, can we take a problem that we face in our everyday life?
You definitely can, but you also have to make sure that the problem that you are facing in your everyday life is also something that a lot of other people are also facing, because you need to focus on building something that not only benefits you or takes care of your needs, but also has a widespread impact on the people around you and beyond. So whenever you're thinking of a problem statement, or when you're considering what you want to build a project on or what you want to work on, you have to know the impact that it can create, and you have to be able to sell it that to, you have to sell that to them. You have to, when you're filling, so when you make the submission, you have this huge Google form where you have to fill in a lot of details about your project, or which SDGs you chose, or which problem you chose and why you chose them. So for that, you have to believe it that what you're creating will impact a lot of people, and you have to be able to explain that to them, so that you stand a better chance eventually towards the end.
I would like to add one thing to it. Don't just do it for winning the challenge. Do it because you actually love it, and it will impact a lot of lives. So that's the main motive of the challenge, because they're giving the United Nations goals to you. Yeah.
Okay, so we have another question. How much time do we need to have to create a solution? Solution बनाने के लिए कितना time मिलता है? That suppose if we given a solution, so how much time it takes to create a solution?
I mean, it depends on your idea. Like Google gives you like 2 months approximately, right, Priyanka, I guess? Yeah.
Yeah, so you start in January. January is when the form gets floated out. So the moment you have registered yourself, you can start working straight away. So you have entire January, entire February, in fact, even entire March, because the deadline is 31st of March, right? So you have almost 3 months to work on it. So I think that's more than enough. That's a sufficient amount of time.
Okay.
How much time did you guys took to make this solution?
That's an interesting question. Like, we took a lot of time for brainstorming and learning all this Flutter, TensorFlow Lite, and all that. So, for the first stage, we did it in like a week's time max. Like, all the technology was done in a week's time, and in the second stage, it took a bit more of time, like around 15 to 20 days for the second stage. So we had to like we worked for 15 hours straight, so that double that time in number of days. So yeah, approximately a month or two in total for the entire solution.
In total, but so that month or two, that is the time when we were just coding and building it technically, but we had to spend a lot of time working for the solution, planning about what we had to do, because what we were doing wasn't something that we had any idea about. It was something that just came into our heads. And in fact, even when we were starting, we weren't all on board with the idea, because we didn't have we weren't able to believe that we could actually pull off something like this, because it required a lot of stuff, like in ML and otherwise, to a lot of stuff that we had no experience in at all before. So it took us a lot of time to get acquainted with things, to research. We did a lot of research, and we had to go through a lot of things, learn a lot of new things. So that took a lot of time. But once all of that was settled, then only then we were able to finish all of that in 7 to 10 days, like Anish said.
Okay. And next question was like, you just mentioned that you took time to learn Flutter. So you didn't know Flutter from prior, and you learned for this solution challenge. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But more like we still had an idea about Flutter, but initially, like we mentioned, we had Apple devices. So we thought we'd build something towards the iOS on an iOS platform. So we started learning Swift. That took a lot of time. And then we started learning Kotlin as well. So Flutter wasn't that big of a deal because by the time we reached that, we had already learned all of these things. And Flutter was something that we had an idea about. We had worked a bit on it. Anish had an entire project on Flutter. So Flutter was something that we were fairly acquainted with, but yeah, we had to learn more in depth about it.
Okay, so the next question is like, how did you form a team? Like, all you were the friends or you were in the same technology? That how was the process that you form a team for the solution challenge? If you can tell that.
Yeah, so Priyanka and I knew each other from a previous project. So I'm from electronics, she is from comms. She bought one friend, I bought one friend from electronics. So that's how we got a mixed set of team members. And it actually helped us like on the software side as well as the hardware side. So I actually built the belt myself because of the knowledge of electronics. So make sure you have a people with varied skill sets, because it's not possible to know everything, and have complementing skill sets. Like some should know one technology, others should know different. Because if all of us know the same thing, then like you won't be able to help each other out, right?
Yeah.
You won't be able to, I'm sorry, I just wanted to add on to it that you won't be able to help each other out, and you also won't be able to efficiently divide your time into working, because me and Gayatri were acquainted with a different set of skills, and Anish and our fourth team member, they had more experience in another set of skills. So we used to, like, a lot of times we used to divide our workforce, like two of us are working on something and then the other two are working on something, and then eventually we'd meet up once or twice a day and then we'd share what we did, and then we'd help the other team out with whatever they were doing. So that was only possible because we all had a varied skill set and we were able to manage and deal with it. Because otherwise, if all of us knew the same amount of things, then we would have been, maybe all of us would have been working on the same thing. Or if one person was a bit lost with something, all of us would have also been just as confused. So that wouldn't have helped. So when you're forming a team, you have to ensure that you have to ensure that the people that you're going to work with should have a different set of skills and a different amount of knowledge than you do, because that will eventually benefit you.
Okay. And we have another question, which is it necessary to have the hardware and software part combined? Because I guess we have some first and second year students as well. So is it necessary to have the hardware and software part combined?
Gayatri, would you answer that?
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's not a compulsion to have a hardware or software. There's no such criteria, but you do have a better chance if you have a hardware or IoT or something combined with your solution, because then mainly what happens is that IoT and hardware helps you solve better problems, like some more complex problems which cannot be just solved with software, and real world problems definitely are a bit more complicated than we think. Even we didn't believe that we could build that hardware and everything. We literally didn't believe. And kudos to Anish, because he did convince every one of us that we can, and he asked us to believe, and eventually we did. But if you do have hardware and IoT or something else in your solution, it gives you a better chance.
I would like to add one more thing to this. Like it should have a proper balance. Like there shouldn't be too much proprietary hardware in it, because then your reach reduces. Because a software app, you can just push it on the app store and it will reach millions of users, right? On hardware, you have to create and build or rather fabricate the custom hardware, right? So make sure you have a balance of that. You don't completely go on either side, right? Yeah.
Okay, so there is one more question. Like, how did you find that your solution is correct, and how we can find that our solution will be the best, or we can say it's the correct according to the guidance that are provided to us from solution challenge?
This is an important question.
Yeah, because that's in the chat.
I don't think that you ever know, in fact, you ever even believe that your solution is the best or that it is correct. You give in everything that you can to it, and then you hope that what you did was sufficient to get you past the boundary that you had to go. So there was not a single second where any of us thought that our solution was the correct solution or it was the best thing that we, or in fact any of the other teams could have built. We never felt that way, not even once. But yes, we knew that we had put in 200% efforts into it, and there was nothing more that we could have done to it. So we were confident with what we did, to a point that yes, we did consider that okay, we have built something good, and if that does get us something, then well enough. But even if it doesn't, this in itself is a big achievement, and we were proud of ourselves for that. But no, I don't think any of us ever believed that our solution was the best solution or the correct solution for that matter.
It's a leap of faith. You can't know the outcome before you actually go through the process, right? Just make sure your work, like the idea you're thinking, takes that much time to implement. Like 2 months diya hai aapko, so you should work that much, because there is a reason they are giving you this much time. So quality should be at par with those goals, and like you guys know the quality of your project. You should know better, right? Yeah.
Okay, so from where did you get the inspiration to get on that position, like winning? Let's think we will win. Like, how did you get inspired from where did you get inspiration?
Inspiration to win, or inspiration behind the idea of a project?
The inspiration behind the idea.
I think inspiration behind the idea was something that we already covered when we were talking about our experience. But inspiration, if that meant inspiration to win, or I don't think so. It's just that when you register for something, obviously it's something that you think of. When you're registering for something, you do think of it that, oh, I'm doing this, so I hope I can win. But inspiration, I mean, I don't think there's any inspiration to win.
Okay, so after knowing that you were the winner of this solution challenge, what was your first reaction, and does your life change after this?
Priyanka.
Yeah. So I clearly, very vividly remember the exact moment when you had come to know about it, because so we had our demo day on the same day, and I don't think any of us had really eaten anything since evening, because we were all so anxious and also excited about it. So so once we got done with the demo video part of it, we were all together on a Gmeet. We had a Gmeet simultaneously, and we were also watching the demo day. And so when that moment came when they were announcing the results, we were all on our toes, what would happen, would we actually make it or not? And the moment we saw our names on the screen, the name of our college and the name of our project on the screen, we jumped out of our beds. We were sitting and we were on 7th heaven, because it was something so unbelievable. I mean, yes, of course, there were times, because we made it till top 50 and then eventually we made it to top 10. There were times where we did think that, okay, maybe we can win this. But again, thinking you can win this and you actually going ahead and winning it, those two are very, very different things. So it was an unreal experience for us. And I think, and also the thing is that the entire journey, for that matter, not just the fact that we won, but the process of those entire months, that is something that all of us cherish. And it also taught us a lot of things. It led to a lot of growth in ourselves as individuals and also as a team. And so how our life changed after that, I think the best part, at least for me, the best aspect of it was to see the pride in your parents' eyes when they come to know about it, or when these days, whenever my parents are introducing me to their colleagues, like my dad is introducing me to his colleagues, so they just ask me, hey beta, what are you doing with your life? And I'd probably tell them that I'm pursuing engineering, and then my dad would go on like, oh, you know about Google, and you know what hackathons are. So my daughter won this hackathon and they did all of that. So I think that feeling of the pride in your parents' eyes and how much happiness that gives them, I think that is unparalleled. And also another amazing thing that actually came out of it was that we had the opportunity to chat with Mr. Jeff Dean, who's actually the lead of artificial intelligence at Google, which is the kind of opportunity that is so hard to come across. I mean, you could work yourself off and you could still not be able to get that chance. And we were so grateful and we were so lucky that because of winning the solution challenge, we were actually able to do that. And also, I think, when you win something at a platform this big, something global, it gives a lot of boost to your confidence, and it sort of empowers you to, try even more difficult things or different things in future, for that matter. Because a lot of times, a lot of people, they're not very confident to get into hackathons or do things. So winning something like this, and in fact, even participating in something of this scale, it really boosts up your confidence for a lot of time ahead. So yeah.
If I can add something, like meeting Jeff Dean, even the head of Google developers like Erica Hansen, Hadn't met him in 15 years. She was at Google, right? So she thanked us like, because of you guys, we are meeting him, and he's like the top dog. Like he's the star of that Google. And actually interacting with him, the way he told us his journey, how he studied in computer science, how he came to learn machine learning, how he excelled at it. That's what inspired me to actually do better in life. Like there are always setbacks, but people like these, like I'm thinking, my problems are so small in front of what he's doing. Like he actually loves what he's doing, right? So that's what the prize was for me, like the major award. Like I don't know if they have this year. I don't think so. In the prizes, they don't have a coffee chat with executive, right? Shubham.
They
I guess
actually
no,
have something, but
but not
they
this.
have mentorship from Google, but
Yeah,
not the
but they've
coffee
not
chat or
mentioned
something.
this coffee thing.
Yeah. So it was the
So I
third
guess it was
time,
special.
but yeah, it was really special for us. Like, yeah, but it was worth it for us. Yeah.
Okay, so our next question is, how did you decide which sustainable development goal did your solution align with?
So I should answer that. Yeah. All right. So first of all, I don't remember all those goals. It's been a year since the past challenge, but yeah, we first thought of the idea, then we mapped our idea to the goal. We didn't think like we didn't bound ourselves to the goal. Like we have to think between these 17 things only. So the first one was, I guess, reducing inequalities. I guess, Priyanka, right? Because now the blind people would be able to walk amongst the normal people, like those are vision, with the same confidence and same respect. Second one was, I guess, innovation and infrastructure. Like we are innovating something totally different, totally new, which didn't exist before. I don't remember the third one. Gayatri or Priyanka, do you remember what was the third one? I don't think so. All right, so I guess you got an
I
idea.
think the third one was peace, justice, and strong institutions. And we just try to slide that in. But the thing is that it's an optional. You can either go and select the SDGs first and then try to think of a problem in those sectors, or you could, like us, you could think of a problem first and then see which all SDGs align with it. So that's totally up to you.
I would recommend thinking of solution, because SDGs are totally wide, like very wide, very broad. So if you think that I have to map 5 or 6 goals, you can't do that. Your solution can't possibly cover all those, right? So first think of a solution. The SDGs are wide enough to actually incorporate yours, probably. Yeah.
Okay. Then what prerequisites, no, prerequisite knowledge should we possess before participating? Because I guess we have first year and second year students, so they wanted to know this.
First of all, are you 18 plus? Because that's one of the criteria for the challenge. So you should be 18 plus first of all. The second thing is you have 2 options. Either tum sab kuch seekh lo, like everything there is to learn, and then you'll just go along it like easily, cakewalk ho jayega tumhare liye. Or second thing, you learn as you go. So what we did was the second option. It's up to you. You'll have to put in more hours. That way, like you have to learn everything from scratch like we did. Or either you're pro totally ki sab aata hai, coding, data structure, everything, then it's like it depends on the people. There are 2 options for you.
Something I'd like to add here is, don't think that you need to learn everything and then I'll participate in the challenge, because सब कुछ नहीं learn कर सकते, कुछ ना कुछ छूट ही जाएगा. So the best approach is to learn when you go. We personally tried learning everything, which didn't work out, but still we did learn Flutter and a few new languages, which would be beneficial to us in the future. So don't think that you have to learn something and then go and participate in the challenge. You can learn along the way, and you're given enough time to do that.
Yeah, so you shouldn't think of specific technology or your knowledge as a prerequisite. Your prerequisite should be your willingness to learn. Sorry. So you have
And
to
your
be
ID.
yeah,
And
and
your
you're
ID.
right. Yeah, definitely that. So because when you, just like Gayatri mentioned, if you think that, oh, I learned this and then I'll go, that would never happen, because you'd never be confident enough that, okay, I know well enough in this field to be able to actually create a solution in it. Or you just keep feeling like, okay, I've learned this, but I also need to learn this to move ahead. So that is a never ending cycle. So you have to break out of that cycle and just be willing to learn whatever you need to learn, and then you can definitely go and explore.
Okay. So somebody has asked you in which year you made your project? In which year you were when you made your project?
So it was last year. So we were in our second year of engineering.
Okay, that's impressive because a second year students have won the solution challenge.
Okay, so we have a question. If a student is not from any of the GDSCs connected, so he can participate, or it is compulsory to be a connector from any of the GDSC?
It is compulsory. You cannot participate if you're not a part of a DSC club. But what you can do is, so sometimes some colleges, for some reasons, they don't have a developer student club of their own. So Google has provided an option of, say, if you don't have a GDSC in your own college, then you can look around for a GDSC around somewhere around in the neighborhood and then join that. And all of those details, they're all mentioned on the website that we put in on the chat, gdsc.community.dev.
Okay. Then we have a question for your solution. Is your gadget usable at night?
We haven't actually tested that in night, so we actually don't know. But it'll have a performance hit, obviously, because it's using your phone's camera, and we don't have a specific camera because we made it ubiquitous, like any device can run it. So we can't actually gauge that, but we'll try to incorporate some night vision stuff if we get the funding or the opportunity to work on it again. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Sure.
No, I guess all the questions were answered. So I request Sharanya to start with.
Okay,
Hello,
she
Sharanya.
joins. We have another question. Is your project still in beta phase?
Yeah, it's still in beta phase. Like, it's not completely, like, you can't give it to a blind guy and he'll walk properly. Like, it still has some software bugs, and it works to an extent, but I would not be so confident in giving or risking another person's life with it as of now.
All right, then I guess we don't have any more questions, right, Tanish?
Yeah, we have answered all the questions.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Anish, Priyanka, and Gayatri. The session today was really wonderful, and even we as GDSC leads did not know that deep about how everything goes on with the solution challenge. So it was a wonderful session, and I thank all of the participants who joined us today and showed interest in the solution challenge, and of course all the GDSCs that collabed for this event to conduct and provide all this information through Anish, Priyanka, and Gayatri. So GDSC Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, GDSC Medicaps University, GDSC Shahid Rajguru College of Applied Sciences for Women, GDSC Lakshmi Narayan College of Technology, and GDSC Kalindi College. So thank you all of you for coming today and making this session such a wonderful success. Thank you so much, everyone. And in case anyone has any doubts about how to find a GDSC near their place, so they can just go on and look it up. There is a link that was shared in the chat box earlier. You can just go to that link and search the area where you live. Then you will be able to find the nearest GDSC, and all you have to do is to become a member of that GDSC. Then you are fully eligible to participate in this competition. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you all the panelists for telling us all your experiences. It was nice hearing you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. And thank you all the participants for